Independent National Electoral Commission has expressed willingness to allow eligible Nigerians without permanent voter cards to vote in the 2027 general elections, but insists that such a move must be backed by legislative amendments. The Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Rotimi Oyekanmi, said the Commission was committed to expanding voter access through technology, adding that legal provisions must first be updated to accommodate any shift from the current PVC-only system. The initiative followed remarks by INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu in December 2024 during a quarterly consultative meeting with resident electoral commissioners in Abuja, and highlighted the growing role of technology, particularly the bimodal voter accreditation system, in streamlining the electoral process. He said, while PVCs will remain valid for those who possess them, future elections could allow voters to use slips generated by INEC or downloaded from its official website for accreditation, and would lower costs, ease logistical burdens, and curb the misuse of voter cards. Let me ask you this. Do you see the practicability of this? What do you make of the story?
Well, it's not about having those who do not have permanent voter card to vote or not. What Nigerians want is a free, fair, and credible election. Don't forget, last election, INEC told us a whole lot how accreditation will be that and all that. And at the end of the day, politicians ended up rigging the election as well. So it's not about having people. It's fine. But from what INEC is saying, it's not just, you can't just come from anywhere to vote. You will first of all be registered. But because the INEC have issue with the distribution of permanent voters card, that's why they decided to adopt this approach, where even if you don't have the permanent voters card, provided you're a registered voter, you can still vote. You can still cast your vote. So for me, it does not call for any jubilation or whatever.
It's neither here nor there.
It's neither here nor there. So what Nigerians want, like I stated earlier, is for their vote to count. Whatever reform you're doing that Nigerians cannot vote and vote will count, then it's meaningless, if you ask me. So the INEC should go back and look at what did we not do wrong, or did do right in the last election. How are we going to improve on that? Coming to tell us that you want to approach the National Assembly to amend that those who do not have does not in any way does not add up. Politicians, INEC should insulate itself from political manipulation. You don't come and tell us you want to allow people. With those who will vote, with their vote count, even if they don't have PVC and their vote, with their vote count, that is what is important to Nigerians, not whether they have permanent voters card or not. So for me, INEC should...
saying that while PVCs remain valid for those who possess them, future elections could allow voters to use slips generated by INEC or downloaded from its official websites for accreditation. He says it will lower costs, ease logistical burdens, and this is where I'm interested right now. Curb the misuse of voter cards. When you say it will curb the misuse of voter cards are actually what you use for voting during election, basically. And now they are generating slips in the place of voter cards to be used from the same purpose, issued by the same institution. How is that going to insulate against misuse? Because the voter card is a means of identification that you're registered and you're eligible to vote. Yeah. The slip is doing exactly the same thing. So I'm trying to understand what they are twerking in it that will now insulate, like you said, vote buying. It was insulate against vote buying, manipulations by politicians. I mean, there are records of people who actually registered, but to date, their voter cards were never found. And then there are records of some politicians actually rigging election in their houses. How did they access the voter cards? And meanwhile, Nigerians are looking for their voter cards, not found in INEC office, where they actually registered. INEC cannot give account of those voter cards. And so when you look at all this, and they're saying now we are going to print out a slip from our website that will curb the misuse of voter cards, how is that going to insulate this? I'm trying to wrap it around my head.
Well,
what do you say?
INEC has not told us what they mean by misuse of voters card, because I know that aside voting, you can actually use the voters card as a means of identification.
Yes.
So when you say misuse, is this outside the electoral processes or in the electoral
during the electoral process?
So because if you say during the electoral processes, that's what INEC is saying. From what I saw in the last election, there was no misuse of permanent voters card.
Okay.
You present, and the electronic device accredits you with your voter's identification number, and you cast your vote. But the issue is that there were a whole lot of irregularities. Votes that were, INEC told us how votes will be uploaded to, we see iServer or what, and all that. And at the end of the day, we saw that what was in the declaration sheet, that's the summary, during declaration, is not the same thing with what is in INEC server. And INEC went ahead to declare those results. And the unfortunate part is that the court upheld those elections. So what are we not saying? So what's the issue is not the voters card. The issue is that INEC has not been able to conduct credible election in the country. You see where the total number, those who were accredited, there's a disparity between the total accredited voters and the total vote cast. Not just that, the INEC server, where INEC asks presiding officers to upload their results, which was also done, and in most cases there was no network to upload the result. In fact, I don't want to, I don't think this is the right time to begin to look at what INEC did not do wrong, right in the last election, because they told us that the electronic device can actually function anywhere. It's connected to all the major telecommunication companies that you can actually upload your result to INEC server at any point. But we saw issues. We saw where INEC staff, because INEC refused to give access to the ad hoc staff or to the management of the electronic device. It was them that gave access to the presiding officer. We saw some rack center where the INEC staff responsible for unlocking of the device were nowhere to be found. So a whole lot. INEC is not just the voters card. That's the point I'm making. It's not. I don't see the issue of electoral malpractices is not with the voters card. It's about the process. It's about INEC telling us A and end up doing B during the election.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Chris Oka, for coming. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for coming.